Ignacio, can you tell us more about your life story and what brought you from Chile to Paris and eventually to the College of Fellows here in Tübingen?
Yes, of course. So I did my bachelor in Chile. I studied literature and linguistics, specifically Ibero-American literature and linguistics. And from then, I moved to Paris, where I studied two masters. I did one master in film studies, history of film, and theory of film. That was 2 years, and then I studied a 1 year master's in film archiving, which was a professional master. And then I did my PhD, which took quite a few years, and my PhD was as well in film studies. And during that time, I worked with what I call a static history of Chilean documentary, which was focused on the notion of gesture. So through the notion of gesture, I analyzed the last 40 or 50 years of Chilean documentary. And after I finished my PhD, I came to Tübingen, to the College of Fellows. And here I'm developing a project that we can discuss later. Yeah.
What is the research project you are working on here at the college?
At the College of Fellows, I'm working with a project that revolves around Chilean cinema in exile, and most specific documentary. But I'm not interested in the study of the broad manifestation of Chilean cinema in exile. On the contrary, I'm focusing on a very specific thing, which is some specific moments within the cinema. And my project proposes to analyze these moments through two also very specific notions that I take from Gilles Deleuze's book, L'image temps, so the time image. These notions are the notions of image cristal, the crystal image, and fabulation, storytelling. And through these two notions, I engage with a very specific analysis of these moments, which I call moments of indiscernibility. So these are moments within the films in which you can see that they very basic categories of fiction and documentary, of the past and the present, of the here and the elsewhere, become somehow blurred. And this, of course, is an important notion for exile in general, because exile has been thought of through philosophy, through literature, through theory, as an experience of the blurring of boundaries and of becoming as well. But my project intends to give this idea of becoming a twist, because following Deleuze, I propose that that this becoming is a double becoming. Actually, it's not just the becoming of the characters that you see inside the films, but the becoming of the filmmakers as well. And this is a very Deleuzian idea, the idea of a double becoming. And so this is overall what I'm working on now at the College of Fellows.
Other specific article projects you are currently developing?
Yes, indeed, I'm working now on two different articles, one of which I presented a few weeks ago here at the College of Fellows. And this article basically focuses on two interviews that were filmed at the beginning of the 1970s by two well-known filmmakers. And these interviews were done to project an image, an international image of Salvador Allende's government at the beginning of the 1970s. And these interviews were conducted by Roberto Rossellini and Saul Landau, so an Italian and an American filmmaker. And these are very marginal objects that have been rarely studied. And my intention was to give them some sort of second life by analyzing them both aesthetically and in terms of their overall ideology. And what I did was that I worked with many different documents that I managed to find around these two films, which are, as I said, marginal objects. This means that they didn't have normal theatrical releases, so they were broadcasted in television in the case of the Italian film. The American one had very scattered screenings. So I worked with some documents I found in Italy mostly, and then in the US. And my work, generally speaking, is driven by by a close analysis of the image. So in this article as well, I analyze quite closely what happens at the level of the image. And for instance, in the interview of Landau, as you saw also a few weeks ago, there are quite a few details that turn this interview into a very odd aesthetic object. And at the same time, I'm working on another article that deals with these specific moments of indiscernibility I was speaking about earlier. And this article comes from a paper that I delivered at a conference in Paris a few months ago. And it will focus on 5 specific moments of indiscernibility within the early period of exile. So this would be between 73 and 80. And these moments, I analyzed them as well closely. I describe them closely, and I deal with them in a way that you could consider maybe as a form of iconology. And yes, so this article will be finished, I guess, in the next month or weeks, and it will be written in French. The previous one will be written in English. And that's more or less what I can say about my current writings.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Veronica.